This is what I feared would happen.
So 4?
Yeah. Yeah, when I thought about we should do these after every episode because we'll get to see every time we watch a movie we can then like see our initial reactions, and this is what you've all been waiting for, the slow degrade of the person who started this idea. Yeah, this one did not age like a wine. This one aged like milk.
Yeah, the wine turned into vinegar. Not in better wine.
To throw back to an episode where we just drank wine, that film starts with a good year where all the wine is terrible. Yeah, it's just like that. Man alive, man. What's everyone's initial thoughts then? If we just sat down in the cinema and we've just left and we're outside, in that initial feeling of like, what was that about? Did I enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, but when I think about it, it was kind of draining. Like, a lot went on. There's a lot of new information, but it all felt a little bit redundant. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Did I really need to watch that?
I feel, and it's funny, I'm thinking about Hereditary because I said that movie was bad. And I'm like, I felt more invested in Hereditary than I felt invested in this at most points. So I'm like, maybe I have to reconsider that on a scale of what when I talked about Hereditary. So I'll have to go back and think about that. But man, this one was, I can remember watching Saw 4 just randomly on like Channel 4. And obviously when Channel 4 in Britain has adverts during the film, and I remember going, I'll come back to it when it was the advert breaks, and I never did. And now I'm sitting down watching the full thing again, and like, yeah, I can remember there must have been something in my brain going, it's not, you don't need to rush back. Because a lot of it felt like filler, you know? Whereas the other 3 movies we've seen, there's been an underlying of tension throughout the entire film. I feel that the tension was really lacking this time around.
Yeah.
Well, they built on stuff that came before. We'll talk about that in the episode. And they introduced stuff like the coffin with glass inside. That just 1 second, but it comes late. So it's obviously the same. It's a new team of new writers, right? And they came for a few other movies for sure, because you don't see that coffin more than 1 second here. And
yeah,
we don't feel what?
Yeah, I think that the problem is that these are new writers who want to explain everything that happened before, and everything has to have a reason. And as much as I'm a massive fan of villains having a good reason and for it to be kind of understandable, it's annoying when everything has to be explained. Like, some things just are. It's like we were watching the Han Solo Honest trailer the other day, and it has to have an explanation for the dice, and like it has to have an explanation for the fact that his name is Solo, like,
yeah,
and all these things, and it's like, why does everything have to be fed to you? And like, as much as I kind of enjoyed the fact that, you okay?
I thought it was a leech, just a worm. Fucking leech or
You
something.
took that from the garden.
Look at it!
Oh, it's so cool!
That was on my arm! Jesus Christ! I've had a panic attack. I'm like, is that a leech?
I had no idea that worms actually moved like that.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, that's funny, yeah.
That's awesome!
Yes!
That's an awesome way to travel. Look at it go!
Well, it's not the standard worms. They like in just like snakes, but this is something else, right? It's not an actual. I don't know what it is, but
I don't think that's a worm.
No.
Because it was like trying to dig into my arm.
Good. Doing some bloodletting.
Fucking leech or something, man.
No, you might be right. You know.
Jesus.
You might actually be right, because it's got a sticky thing.
Fucking
It's
hell.
behind the so 4
I know.
panel, so you're missing it.
You're
right?
missing it, but I'll take a photo for the episode for this to go out.
There are no leeches in.
No, don't focus. There we go. So I've got a
Can
photo.
see,
I'll upload that when we
a
upload
picture
that.
of it when it advances, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, you need it when it's
Oh.
moving, but it looks like it's.
I'm glad I spotted that. Fucking hell. That's more exciting than the movie.
Was there blood?
No, but it was like that on my arm, like in my arm.
I mean, maybe you do get leeches in Britain.
I don't know, but it was pretty weird. There's no like bite mark or anything.
Did you want to play a game?
Yeah, I know, eh? Fucking hell.
Jumping. We're
It's freaking me out. Sorry. Ooh,
I'll put it
it's
out.
sticky.
that's so funny.
We'll put it
Right.
outside after this, or flush it. or
Fuck
something.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our state of despair,
Yeah.
quite high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting there. Like it's like it's trying to explain everything too much, but then also bringing new things in. It's a lot of. I mean, it's like okay.
It's trying to bridge a gap between two series. Obviously, they're having to move away from everything that's been established already, and when they're trying to do that, I'm not looking forward to the rest of these episodes now. I'm like 5, 6, 7 are going to be pretty rough, I think.
And we have a break.
Luckily enough, we do have a break for
Yeah.
Anouk's off visiting people, so we do have a little break before we're back to 5, which is nice because I think we need that.
Mm.
But yeah, we record the episode very soon, and you'll hear our in-depth despair, or will you? You'll have to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to thine own self be true.
Exactly, yeah.
No.
Yorick
Hang on.
says it's supposed to be polygynous, but whatever, right? Yeah, it's on both sides. And now we'll say goodbye and film that little thingy,
Yeah.
so you can see what those
So what
2
it is.
minutes of us like
Going like, what the fuck is that was?
Bye bye.
Bye now.
Bye guys.
Bye. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Saw Halloween series this year.
Yes.
The fatigue episode, we shall call it.
I'd like to start by saying I'm not entirely oh, wait. Hello, everyone.
We were not recording.
We were recording just on the, but it's better to have the actual tracks. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back.
And welcome to episode 4 of the Saw Halloween series.
Yes.
Yeah, the fatigue episode.
So we just said yes in the live stream with the fatigue episode.
It's setting in slowly. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure how you found that adult site for the comparisons of the rated and unrated versions, but actually, I've been using since Highlander and its 3 or 4 different cuts, movie censorship website where you have everything. And in there it says that there are actually 3 cuts of Saw 3.
Right.
So we saw there is the R-rated, unrated, and unrated director's cut.
Yeah.
So that's even another one that we haven't watched. And there is the one we watched so far for this episode, the R-rated version. It's actually the unrated that we saw, right? The R-rated has a different subtle differences in the twist. We see more of what happens with that guy at the well. We'll talk about that when we go.
Okay, right,
a
interesting.
bit further along. Would you like to talk about transitions, Adam?
I did actually think that's a good job you mentioned that, Yann, because I wanted to bring up some things that we've been forgetting to mention in the last couple. So I just wanted to start off by going over some aspects that we think have been done well or they're starting to wear our mind. Since Yann's mentioned transitions, yes, the transitions that we've been seeing artistically have been pretty interesting. I mean, you'll spot them when it's like cutting in and out between scenes or swapping over. It's always like almost like moving past the wall. Like it seems like one shot almost. They're very nice. It's kind of it became almost the trend for the Saw franchise. And I discovered that most of them are, if not all of them, are done practically. None of them are really digitally enhanced afterwards. Maybe putting the footage together, but none of them are artificially created. So that's quite interesting. The other thing that we haven't mentioned in the last 2 episodes, even though we mentioned it briefly in the first, well, we talked about it, we praised it in the first and mentioned it slightly in the second, is the soundtrack. They've retained the same guy who composed the original Saw theme, so the music is consistent. However, it's beginning to be a bit overused, the Saw motif. Anouk especially noticed that in this film, and in Saw 3, the overuse of the do 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 do.
Yeah, Saw 3 used it the most, I think. I didn't exactly totally notice it in Saw 4, but I definitely think that it was overdone, because the whole point of that music and what made it so good in the first one is that it was used for like really specific moments, and so it like really jumped out at you and made that situation like even more fucked up, because I mean that's what music does. It kind of adds another level onto the fear, suspense, anticipation.
Yeah, and also in the first film it is there, but you only notice it after the twist, because if it's your first time watching, you're like, I don't know this music, it's interesting. But then you get the reveal where we get the Hello Zepp soundtrack, and then when you watch the film again, you'll notice the slight nods to that in the film, and that adds to the twist almost, because you're like, oh wait, the music was there all along. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the rest of the films, because the soundtrack is one of the best things that came out of Saw 1, it is getting put in and again and again and again.
Yeah, I think also the subtlety goes... And I don't know if that's because... Oh.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Should I bring it forward? Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Way better.
Okay. Does it look good? Who cares? Yeah, so what was I saying? Who knows?
The subtlety of the music.
Yeah, like it just feels like every time it's on, it's like dun dun dun, like really in your face, and it's like maybe it was used a lot in Saw 1, but it was subtle.
It's always the same bit as well. It's always the do 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 that you always hear.
It's so good.
And in the first film, some of the best bit of that music is the slow reveal of it. Like I don't think you get that real heavy hitting part until like mid through Adam's tape when he plays it. You know. Which I thought was, which is so much about the music as well, and then obviously the bridge between like the lull in it before it comes like hammering back in again, like the violin part is also really nice. But obviously the motif is the do 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 do. That's the motif that is underlying in most of it. That's the bit we recognize as Jigsaw, because if you hear that music, you're like, right, that's Saw. There's no any other part you could be like, where do I know this? But as soon as you hear that sequence of notes, you're like, right, that's Saw.
Yeah.
So it gets repeated a lot in other pieces of music, which is consistent for the composer, which is a really nice touch, because it obviously adds to the scenes and it makes them stand within their own soundtrack and their own, like, it has its own through line. But because these films, maybe it's because we're watching these all together, we're beginning to notice that like the overuse of this theme is becoming more present as we go along, and it adds in this film probably more jarring than the other 3 that we've seen so far, is because we've got so much new things trying to be added that we're latching on to the things that we know. So the music we know because we've been there from episode 1, we like that, but now we're beginning to go like, well, if that's the only thing I'm noticing, but I'm latching to that feeling because I know it, as opposed to looking at these new things and going, okay, what are they trying to do with this?
So we start directly with John Kramer's autopsy.
Yes.
And in the previous movie, they open doors which are closed. In this one, the open doors will be closed later. Namely, now we know that the tape that John waxed on is found in his stomach.
Yeah.
And Detective Hoffman, Costas Mandalore, is back.
Yes, he returns.
And he listens to that tape, and we don't really know are sure what it's about.
But we only get half of the tape. I think we only get half of the tape at the beginning, and then we get the rest of it at the end. We get bits of it. I get a selective bit.
There is a see no evil, speak no evil trap. The mausoleum trap, it's called. Which was interesting because do you think people got a sense of that it was the same, like Art Black, the lawyer, that it was him at the start?
Like
you
would only know him.
Yeah, I mean, when he comes back later, you would say, "Oh, that was the guy at the start."
No, I don't think so. I think that's why he wears like the beanie later on, and then when it's like he takes that off, his jacket off, and you see like the thing he was attached to in the trap. You're like, "Oh, right, that's him."
Right. Oh, I didn't. Wow. Yeah. I didn't.
Maybe you're meant to pick up
probably,
immediately, and maybe you're meant to pick up when you say like he turns up and like, oh, that's that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you are
because there is the scar and the thing on the
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the video Patreon watchers will see me when Yann went see no evil, speak no evil. My mouth just dropped because I got annoyed, and this isn't talking about plot later on. In Saw 7, I got annoyed because they repeat traps. And they repeat that theme. They repeat the see no evil, speak no evil thing. So that's even more annoying for when that film turns up. I'd never noticed that because I never watched all of them back to back. But like, you're right. That theme is used later on as well. So that's like, oh, for God's sake. But in here, I think coming into this one, the correlations between 3, are they meant to be there because we're meant to pick up that this is at the same time as 3, or that is just out of the blue twist? And what I mean by that is, in Saw 3, we talked about how Jeff really wasn't the one tested. We went into depths about how could the people in the traps have got out. And they've kind of reversed that in this one, where Rig is redundant in any trap that he's in. His test is to just walk away, right? So he really doesn't need to be in these at all. They are for the other people to get out of.
But he never does, and that's how he kills his partner.
Mm.
Well, to both partners. Well,
the detectives, because he can't escape. We can't let go.
Eric, the stuff that was introduced with Jeff in the previous film is now it's even if it's reversed, it's still that new thing of having that one guy from trap to trap. So they're clearly building on each even though it wasn't the same writing team.
No, it wasn't. This is the first one to be a totally different team, even though the 2 original writers and the directors of, well, not directors, but the guys that worked on Saw 1, they're still executive producers, so they still got like a look at it. So I think they probably had the power as exec producers to veto if it was like, guys, this is not
right
within the brand or whatever you want to call it. But
Also,
to pick up on what I said in the last episode, I was wrong. This film is not written at the same time as 3. This is a year later. So there goes that theory, which would have made this film probably given some merit to this film. But because it's a year later, I'm like, well, I can't give that credit. This is a whole year later. This is another idea.
Yeah, we get closure on Eric Matthews, on Alison Carey.
Well, the film kind of starts with the pick-up immediately from when Carey is found, really. That's where we start.
Right,
I mean, we get the mausoleum trap, but then we're back to Carey immediately. So
they talk about how she's been there for 4 days, I think I caught.
Yeah, and this one now gives the time scale for 3, which is 6 months. They now give the idea that Matthews has been missing for 6 months. It's in 4, not in 3.
Yes.
There is this moment we are introduced to Agent Perez and Strome.
Here we go.
And there is this interaction very early on with Hoffman, when there's like we get a few new insights on that angel Carrie trap. Like it could not have been done by Amanda because she was just a tiny woman, or even John because of his cancer was just like too weak. So we start to get a thing about that there might be another accomplice, and the thing is that Strome believes it's Rig, right?
Yeah.
If I understood correctly.
He's kind of verging onto that, or at least he says that he's being recruited.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
So it's kind of like maybe in the beginning he's like, I'm kind of suspect of this guy. And then like in one of the traps, he's like, when they find out that Riggs, they find the body of the woman that has her hair pulled out.
Mm-hmm. Brenda, I think her name is. Maybe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He says, I think he's being recruited. No. Sorry. They find the fat guy and the rape guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when he says Riggs is being recruited by Kramer rather than he is already the assistant.
Well, that one kind of stands up because in that scene, Rig has to go and get him to put him in the trap, which is a bit like, I know you're trying to save Eric Matthews, right? But that does make you culpable for that guy's death, right? Because you put him, it's the same as telling somebody to shoot themselves, isn't it? Like, because he makes him get in the trap by gunpoint, doesn't that make him culpable?
I think if you're being blackmailed to do something, I don't think that you should be penalized for it. But I don't know what the law is behind that, British or American or Scots even.
That's true.
It gets complicated.
Yeah, that's true.
What I do think is that if you need to rape and kill someone, don't film yourself.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's probably his thing, right? Like, I can watch it back whenever I want.
He's a voyeur.
Voyeur, exactly. I think Kramer even
this-
says that.
I mean, Jigsaw really has a thing against voyeurs, doesn't he? I mean, first it was Adam, and now it's this guy.
It's because he is a voyeur.
And Jigsaw's a voyeur as well, actually.
That's what I just said.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's
because
okay. I
Sorry.
just mean that, like, I literally just said that.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, okay. When there was a funny moment that reminded me of something entirely unrelated. When Rig is assaulted, the tape starts when the door is opened when he enters the bathroom. No, when he gets out of his door. Well, the
Gets out the bathroom, yeah.
The door. There's a wire connected to the television. That remind me. There is a French comic. It's Gaston Lagaffe.
Yes.
I don't know what's the other equivalent. In English? But basically, the guy was so lazy that he had a wire attached from his typing machine to the door, so he could be woken up when someone was coming to surprise him, to see if it was working.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, and one day he got surprised. The thing worked, but he had like the keyboard things printed on his face because
He was asleep, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's like, how do you know my thing was? Yeah, but look at yours. Oh, Jesus.
They
That's
can't.
good,
They
that's good.
cannot help but use bathrooms in Saw, can they? I mean, they had to put Rig wake up in the bathtub.
Well, if you think about it, bathrooms are kind of used quite a lot in horror films.
But is that after Saw?
No, because you have The Shining has a bathroom scene.
Yeah.
You have Psycho has a bathroom scene.
Actually, that's very true. I look an idiot
So
now.
that's hit you a little bit.
Yeah.
Showers. and bathrooms.
Showers and
Yeah,
bathrooms.
way before 2004.
Yeah, you're very true. I mean, I think even Hitchcock said something about it's the idea of it's a place where you're meant to feel safe. You know, you're relaxing, having a shower, having a bath, and then turning that
Yes.
into like a dangerous place.
It's also a place of
Of-
vulnerability where you're naked and
Yes,
you're not
yeah.
going to have anything to attack someone with. It's exactly a place of comfort but also vulnerability. I think also most bathrooms don't have windows, so there's no way to escape except for the one door. So if someone's coming to, so for example in The Shining, she does escape through the little bathroom hotel window, but the only way that she can kind of leave
other than that little window is through the door where she's being attacked with an axe. So
Yeah.
In terms of transitions, just 2 seconds. The scene with the female pimp hair removal technique.
Yes.
That's when those transitions do not work.
That is. I think, did we talk about this previously in this series, or maybe it was off the podcast?
well, as soon as it did it, all of us went, "Oh, for God's sake!"
Well, even that is like they decide to cut in and out between that and the B plot. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, you're ruining the tension of the scene.
I think what's silly is that a horror film should know that adrenaline always needs to be kept up. You can't switch from like a comfortable scene to like total adrenaline and make the audience like care for the person that's being hurt.
Juxtaposition is interesting in horror. I mean, if you look at, say, like anything, like the girl with the dragon tattoo, or a more well-known one, the Stuck in the Middle of You scene from Reservoir Dogs, you know.
Oh God.
Yes. That is juxtaposition with music, which is really interesting. But doing that in this sort of film, like how they did the juxtaposition of like something really horrible's going, let's cut into something else, is just too jarring.
It's jarring because they're not connected. They don't feel like they're connected. If you've got someone, like the music is different, or the person that is torturing someone is happy, right? Then that's different because they're in the scene, and it makes you as a voyeur yourself watching it really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you're going from like an adrenaline horror bloody gory scene to detectives running around in a very boring police station.
Also, yeah, sorry, keep going.
That's going to totally jar you, and it's not going to make you. You can't go from. Okay, so for example, if you've got like a suspenseful scene, that needs to be built up, right? So if you keep taking us away from that, how are we going to be built up to the point where we're terrified?
Yeah, I think the worst part of that scene is that they're trying to give you key information when you cut to the detectives, and you don't care. It's like,
honestly,
why
I
would
had no
you?
idea what they were saying.
Yeah, you're like, hang on, I meant to care about this woman over here. Why are you cutting in to tell me that you've got skin fragments from underneath the victim's nails or something like this? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like, why are you telling me this when I'm meant to care about one thing?
Maybe it was also too short. Like the B plot was like 3 seconds at a time.
Yeah,
It got us out of the A plot, but maybe if it was a bit longer, I don't know what they were trying to achieve.
Well, since we're discussing A and B plots, say hello to the C plot in the Saw franchise. We now have a C plot. Now, you might be going, what are you talking about, Adam? There's only two things going on. And I agree. We have the A plot of Rig, as we established previously, the trap victim and the detective series. But now, because the trilogy wrapped with Jigsaw's death, every film from now on has a flashback with Jigsaw. And that is the C plot of the Saw franchise.
And that
the John Kramer story.
And that brings the wife into it.
Well, the wife is brought in with a B story, but she's explained more with the C story.
And Gideon.
And Gideon, the son, and Billy the puppet, and now here, let's try and explain everything that went on with Jigsaw's reasons for doing things.
And Cecile, the killer.
Cecil.
Yeah, well, I don't know who's in charge of the names, like Art Black, Jill Tuck, Cecil Adams. It's okay.
I mean, the problem is that now that we've got three threads, we're now spreading the audience attention across three separate plots, which I admire them for doing, but the execution, the film kind of works. 60% is A plot, and then maybe 30% B plot, and then 10% C plot. Maybe 20-20 for the detective, but the detective stuff is more than the C plot, so I can't say 20-20. I'd say 30-10, maybe. Would you think that's fair? The C plot takes up 10% of the film, the detective stuff is 30%, and the main trap is 60, or would you say 30, 30, 40?
Oh.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I would say that the A plot is much bigger than the B plot.
Yeah, so let's 40% A plot, 30% B plot, the rest C plot. Maybe?
30% C plot. Yeah, I would say even less C plot.
Yeah, so maybe I was right the first time. 60,
Yeah, I would say
60,
yeah.
30, 10. Yeah, that's more right.
There, just again transitions. Actually, before you mentioned them off air, I never really noticed them in the previous movies at all.
Really?
No, but I really noticed them here, and the one that really worked and I liked was when it switched from Jigsaw at the hospital when it just lost Gideon to the interrogation room.
Yeah.
You can see, I think that worked very nicely.
Because he's like watching the scene even though he's dead. It was really creepy, actually. Yeah.
The thing is with the B plot in this film is it has a really difficult job because they've taken out the only character we could care about in the B plot and put him in the A plot. Rig is the only detective side, the B plot character left to care about. We only get 10 seconds with Hoffman in 3, so there's little attachment there. It's essentially the same as Strome and Perez.
Totally.
So now that we no longer have anyone in the B plot, it is getting difficult to care.
Yeah.
Strom, the exposition dude, right?
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, Anouk made a really weird but interesting thought because she just kind of said it as a thought in the movie when Strom turned up. She went, "What did you say?" You were like, "He looks exactly the same as Hoffman."
Yeah, he does.
What do you think that implies then? If they're going for anything, maybe like a good and evil, like Perez is the villain. No, Strom is the good guy and Hoffman is the bad guy, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so.
That'll get played up more in 5 because 5 revolves around those two a lot more.
Yeah, of course, because they've been introduced and now they're the new kids on the block. The Seesaw franchise.
Yeah.
Talking about Perez, she's killed by the exploding head of Billy.
Yeah. Well, she's injured.
Oh,
she's injured because
Right.
yeah, but we don't see her again. She's taken out of the film by a puppet that is a shotgun, which I thought was a bit unfair for Jigsaw.
Yeah, indeed. There, in the hints that are given from, like in little touches, I liked when the pedo guy and his wife were like stuck by metal rods.
That's a good scene. He beats his kid, but I don't think we get anything that he's a child abuser. I think I said in a previous episode about or off air that the guy in the hotel was a paedophile. But again, it's just we don't see any evidence of that. He's definitely a rapist, but I don't know if we get anything about kids or whatever in the stuff.
There's no pictures of kids.
Not in the hotel scene. No.
I don't think there's any paedophilia actually.
No, I don't think they go that round.
In the Saw franchise, I don't think I've ever seen that.
They left that for the
thing-
Human Centipede series. That's the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't get involved in that.
The
I only saw the first one.
The Human Centipede's basic idea was around the director had he thought that would be an equal punishment for child molesters and such on like that. That would be their punishment.
What?
That's where the concept came from. Apparently, that's what he says.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
brutal.
Anyway.
Yeah, no. I quite liked that idea actually of an abusive husband who obviously beats his wife into obedience, and so she allows him to also beat the child and doesn't say anything. With the X-rays all around them of, I'm guessing, the kid and the wife of old injuries.
Yeah.
And that she has to take out the rods. Bleeding him out slowly.
Well,
The rod, the way they're positioned is if she can take them out, she won't bleed to death.
Yeah, because on him
They're
they
through
were
arteries.
positioned in like really important organs,
Right.
whereas her, obviously, as they were not positioned the same, it was less life-threatening.
Yeah.
Right. So it was Jigsaw basically saying, "Can you take control of your own life, please?" And pretty much kill him.
Yeah.
I feel that I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff and for this film, and the creativity for the production team is very good. All the set design, especially the prop makers as well.
It's always believable in the Saw franchise. I've never seen something and thought that looks like prosthetics. It always looks like someone is actually being tortured and bleeding, and that's their dismembered leg.
Well, shout out to that team. And
Yeah, great team, by
I
the way.
talked about the trap building in the previous episode. I have a name now. There's an MTV article where the Saw trap builder recalls the most gruesome and funniest traps. It's trap builder and engineer Jason Eel, and I'll put the link in the description. There's no need to read it there, but we get to know that Billy the Puppet was supposed originally to be a gift for Gideon.
I would never give that to my child. It was terrifying.
In fairness, it's a less scary version of Billy the Puppet. Like
Right,
it's a
it's
more
smaller.
it's a smaller, more child-friendly version, but the black with the eye,
the colours.
it's the white face and the red swirl eyes with the red cheeks is too weird.
Yeah, I don't really... I think it might have been better if what they did was they had the same puppet, but like did it like in like a normal colouring.
Yeah, it was the
Right?
human, and then it became
And
it
then
became that.
when he changed, he decided to paint over it the white face, the black hair, and the red swirls.
Yeah.
Like that would have been so much more poetic than having Billy look exactly the same throughout the film franchise.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Why would you give that to your child?
We get an insight on. We finally got an explanation about. I think the pig. Well,
yeah,
you told me
I mentioned in the episodes, like, don't worry, that'll be paid off in the future. Why it's pigs?
because John gets back. Is that the first one he tests? Cecil Adams, the guy who killed Gideon.
Yes, I believe that is the first victim.
I think that is because
We see him prep for it. We see him make the tapes and all that. Even though he never uses the tape, he just says the dialogue anyway, and he's like, builds the stuff and all that. So,
well, this is the first time that he's doing it, so he's decided to be there and actually talk to the guy rather than do a tape and use Billy the Kid and all this kind of stuff. Because actually this sets up the razor wire trap
yeah.
that we see in the first film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
for-
actually,
Barbed wire thing. Yeah.
I want to applaud Tobin Bell because that moment when he goes into the trap and you just see him pick up a pen of paper and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting."
So- oh yeah, that's quite useful. Aye.
Really good. It was so well done. I
Can you
was
just
like,
hold still for a minute so I can like just get a
"Actually,
pencil
that's
sketch?
a really good idea for a trap.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much in pain are you right now?
Oh, it's so terrible.
And when John goes to get Cecil, there is a party and outside fiesta and stuff, and people are wearing pig masks.
So it's a Chinese New Year.
Right,
It's
right.
a Chinese New Year or a Chinese street vendor thing, and it's obviously the year of the pig. So there are two the main idea, the one I think we're meant to get is that it's the pig mask. He like evolved that because that's when he got it there. Or it could feasibly be that his son was meant to be born on the year of the pig.
Oh,
That I just thought of that there, and I'm like, that might be the reason he uses the pig mask.
that's kind of
going
nice.
on. But I think the thing the film gives us is that because it was the year of the pig. But I think they can both play together. I
Well,
like
the-
the idea.
Yes, but the problem is that I know we're not talking about what happens later on.
You
in the
love to do these in
film.
every episode. Just like, oh, later on they do this.
Well, I'm just saying that they're in Jigsaw. He actually talks about why he decided to use pigs.
I think we can talk about Jigsaw because we
We
recorded
did,
the
yeah,
episode
fair enough.
already.
Well, so in that episode, he talks about pigs are the most compassionate animal, and so even if they see someone else in pain, they will help, and so they're so close to humans in that regard and it's kind of his way of being like, cherish your life, be compassionate, you know.
Oh well, and there's also this thing that pigs are actually way more close genetically to humans than chimps are.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, you're
I've
right.
heard that. Yes. And I mean, chimps are like 98.5%, right? 95.5% the same as us
I don't know.
genetically.
I don't know off the top of my head. But
I mean, it's
I'll go with
high. So if pigs are more, it's pretty much exactly the same.
I mean, it'd be more funny if, because obviously about compassion, if he had like a killer whale mask, like he goes to SeaWorld or something, he has like an orca mask. He's like, the whale cries for its children.
Yes, and I
He's
mean,
just
I
dressed like a
know,
whale.
I know that a lot of Muslims as well say that yes, it's because pigs are dirty, but actually it's because they're really intelligent, compassionate creatures that they don't eat pork.
Okay, interesting.
And I don't know what Judaism says, but it might be connected.
There is a trope in murder mysteries, which is a bit a murder mystery there. There is an example we talked about in the Murder on the Orient Express, how Michelle Pfeiffer stabbed herself so that she would have the alibi. Oh, that was not me. Or there is also in another Poirot adventure, I don't remember which it is, but a guy who's found the skeleton in a bathtub completely eaten by acid. And that's the perpetrators who are also hurt to have the alibi that that was not us. We have that here because the twist coming is that
This film happens at the same time as Saw 3. This is where this gets even more confusing if you think about it. So
No. I think, yeah. Were you talking about the fact that Detective Hoffman bound himself and put himself in the chair for an hour and a half? Yeah. And his nose is bleeding and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what he meant.
did you read his notes?
No. I can't see his notes.
I can't read that from here because I even with my glasses. That's quite
But
bad.
me and Yann are in sync.
Yeah, I'm just blowing my load too early.
Especially when I explained that perpetrator thing, that we're innocent but not that innocent. So
Yeah, that's where I got it from. Sorry, Adam, carry on.
Nah, it's fine. Go back. We'll pick up on the twist later on. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Hoffman has to do that because he does that for the film's sake of like he has to, or does he? No, maybe the film logic is that he's in there because the audience doesn't know that he's the accomplice yet. We're still meant to believe that it might be rigged. We don't know who it is.
Well, he is they talk about two detectives are being taken, and it's Hoffman and Matthews.
Yeah.
The whole way through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Strome and Perez are the detectives that are told to try and find these other two detectives, not knowing that Hoffman is part of the game.
Yeah, and this is the twist thing. I'll just read from the movie censorship so you have an idea. The R-rated version is way more understandable. In the unrated that we saw, we see Rigg away with Hoffman suddenly standing behind. How he got out of his trap, we never get to know.
Yeah, but I know this. Sorry, I cut you off again. I got excited. Sorry, keep going, yeah.
In the R-rated version delivers a longer shot of Rigg, then Hoffman untying his arm, intercut to Rigg. Hoffman unties his feet. He gets up and takes off the device covering his mouth. Then follows a shot of Rigg with Hoffman standing in the background.
Yeah, so it's exactly like that. So what happens in this? I remember because I've seen it. So like, Rigg turns around to look. The water goes up, so you think, oh my god, he's gonna get electrocuted, and then he just kind of reveals himself. I think also there might be a shot that he has like something on his shoes, like plastic or whatever, so he doesn't complete the circuit.
I have a vague recollection of that.
Like that happens, so you're like, oh wait, he's in on it. So that's how it's done, and I think that's how the scene goes, which is nice. Which is unfortunate that it's not in the theatrical cut because it's like.
I wonder why they did that, because there are a few other scenes that are not needed.
Just
so.
for time. I mean, the major complaint about Saw 3, is it? Saw 3 runs the longest, I believe.
This thing that you just talked about is in the theatric, is in the R rated.
Yeah.
That's in.
Yeah.
But we just saw the.
We
unrated,
just see Hoffman standing behind
Yeah,
him in the theater cut. Yeah.
which in no, in the uncut, the one that was not in theaters. The one that was in theaters is the one I just described with the whole we see Hoffman and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, we watched the uncut, which is the one where we get less stuff.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yes.
Jesus.
Which is it's weird because it's supposed to be uncut, so
Yeah, I don't understand that. I thought that the theatrical version was
Wait.
always less.
No, we watched the theatrical version.
no. It's
Or maybe it was just we didn't watch what's called the unrated version.
we watched it. It wasn't saying unrated on the thingy, but it was the unrated
Oh,
according to that movie censorship one.
All right. Okay.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
We get the just like we had Hoffman for a few seconds in the previous movie. We get a glass coffin for a few seconds in this movie.
Yeah. See in part 5 probably.
Yeah, I remember that bit that I liked.
The thing is, well, is if Jigsaw built that way back in the day, right? Like in the beginning, he's been waiting to use that forever.
Yeah.
Like he's never had a reason to use it. So is there just a warehouse kicking about that Jigsaw's just got stuff waiting to go? He's like, I've built this, but I don't know. I'll wait for another one.
The whole thing though. So the other twist that you talked about, it happens at the same time. We get to know that Hoffman was the one who kidnapped Lynn. Jeff was killed by Strome. That's stuff that we didn't really need to know, I guess.
Which I mean
Yes.
basically makes this the Saw 4, the detective B plot is also the B plot of 3, and now that the Jigsaw stuff would technically be a D plot line. So plot A would be Jeff, plot B would be Jigsaw and Lynn, plot C would be Rig and Eric Matthews, and plot D would be Jigsaw's backstory. So it's just getting a bit like, come on, this is really confusing.
Right, and it's happening at the same time, right? So
Yeah, because it's tied up with Strome arriving when after Jeff just killed.
yeah, like so Strome arrives when Amanda, Jigsaw himself, and Lynn have just died. Then Strome walks in, kills Jeff. I mean, Eric Matthews at this point is dying or
No,
dead.
he's fine. Well, he's not fine, but he's like being kept alive for 6 months. Very reminiscent of the scene in The Fly 2, actually.
Yeah, in terms of what happens in the movie sequentially,
Yeah,
he died just before.
Yeah, he
Like,
literally
his
just
head
died.
was-
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about...
I mean, in terms of movie time,
Right.
I don't know, but in terms of what happened on the screen, Matthews just died before that
Yeah.
scene.
Right.
Rig is dying because he's been shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thingy, the lawyer is also dead at the same time. It's wow.
Yeah, they shot them so well.
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot to happen in one day.
There's this line that they use constantly now since the first one, game over.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the game is over.
I guess so. I mean, because it
Yeah.
has to be... Every twist has to be finished with the line game over, I guess.
And that's Jigsaw's thing. You know, he leaves a room and says game over.
The thing is, though, this is another interesting aspect, is that this is Jigsaw. Jigsaw set this up. This is the John Kramer test.
Because at exactly the same time, he set up a test for Amanda. So he set up a test for Jeff, Amanda,
Hoffman.
and Matthew. Well, sort of Matthews, and he's also had to do the mausoleum. Like, I mean, he's a busy man.
Do you remember what Jigsaw said at the end to Amanda in Saw 3? He says something along the lines of, "You've just ended 4 lives." When she shoots Lynn, so which we were meant to believe is
herself,
John, Lynn,
Jeff.
No, not Jeff, because Jeff lives. The kid, maybe, because he knows that.
Oh yeah.
And the kid, that's 4. But is that meant to actually mean you've just ended your own, mine, Lynn's, and Jeff, because Jeff's going to get killed by Strome in about 5 minutes?
Yeah, because he probably realizes that the detectives are coming to try and get Rigg and Matthews and Hoffman.
Which
Oh,
leaves the
that's
idea,
insane.
does Amanda know that test is going on as well? Does she know that Eric Matthews is being tested at the same time with Rigg? Do you think
It
she
seems
knows?
like she's not at all involved.
No, well, obviously, because she's dead at this point, and the film kind of tries to sell us on the whole, this is after Saw 3, but maybe in another film it'll be revealed that she was in on this, but I don't know. She must have known that Eric was alive. No, she doesn't know that Eric's alive.
Because that's Hoffman.
Because Jigsaw says, I cleaned up the mess. So she never gets to know that Eric is alive, because she still believes that she left him for dead.
Yeah, because that's Hoffman that takes him into the prison and feeds him and you're not supposed to know who he is, but when you look back, when you know that it is Hoffman, you can see the outline of his face and it's like, that's Hoffman, that's not Amanda and that's not Kramer.
Yeah.
That's Hoffman. So yeah.
So she does not know about this going on at the same time.
I don't think so.
So that's even more like, what's going on?
Well, and Hoffman trumps her with he wrote the stuff in the envelope that she opens.
Which we don't know what that says yet.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know what that says yet. Like, all right, okay, maybe we'll find out.
Jeez.
Maybe there'll be a flashback in 5 when Hoffman's writing and we get to see what he's doing on the page.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, at this point, it's like any link we can get back. But in saying that, though, this is the first film they've done which has not featured the bathroom from Saw 1.
Yeah.
We never return in a flashback, so
There is also a recurring thing that people that they don't either follow the rules completely or don't follow them, but do half. The pervert guy on the bed, he starts to press on the thing, so he got one of his eye out.
absolutely. I agree where you're going with this.
And then he just doesn't go through with the second eye, and he's just like ripped apart.
I don't know about you, but if I was going to do it, you press both at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There is no point in doing it one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the Trapped You Loved the rack. All the stuff twisting are at one by one, so obviously the pain will be even like constant.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though he has no control over that.
Yeah,
Which is-
and also the other scene that I got annoyed at is at the very beginning with the mausoleum. He rips his stitches after he kills the guy. I'm like, just do that at the start.
know,
If you're
I
gonna
know.
do it, do it at the start and go, hey, I can speak now. Stand still. There's a key on your back.
I know. And sometimes I'm like, I do get annoyed when people like try and find plot holes and say like, oh, I don't believe this film, because it's like, well, it's a film. Like, you're not supposed to believe it actually happened. But there are times in this film where it's like, because I don't believe it while I'm watching it, that is when it becomes a bit of a problem.
It's like it is like if you're gonna do something, the idea of the survival fact kicking in, because Jigsaw mentions that's what he's testing for. The whole Jigsaw piece is being removed from people are to do with the fact that they were missing the survival instinct. Like, if you're in that trap and go, in your brain, you're going, right, he can't see, and I've got stitches on my mouth. If I suffer the pain enough, I can open my mouth and then speak to the guy and we can both get out. But of course, that ruins the tension of the scene, so, you know.
yeah.
That was never going to happen, but it's a bit annoying. I mean, it'd be different if if he just like try and cut them out afterwards, like that's different. But the fact he just like rips them off at the end is a bit like, you could have just done that at the beginning, then.
Yeah.
You know.
I think what we should do is, if we ever end up the three of us at the same time in Las Vegas, there is the official Saw escape room.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Oh, God.
There is an interview video on YouTube, which is annoying because they added
An underlay.
Yeah, there's some music and you can't properly hear the people talking. So basically, it's supposed to be the guy who created the room and Tobin Bell, but you can't even get past the guy speaking about the room that he created because the sound is too loud. Anyway, it's the only like licensed kind of thing there is, There is in Dundee, there is one. I'm not sure if it's licensed or anything, but if we ever try the Saw room, we should probably.
Dundee would be a cheaper trip, I would say.
Yes, that's why I said if we ever end up in Vegas together, I don't, you never know.
You never know.
Oh, we definitely
Life
will.
is a funny thing, isn't it?
Sounds great to me.
What else happened in this film?
Oh.
All right, we've avoided it long enough. Let's talk about my least favorite thing in this film, which is
bad acting.
which is the appearance of Jill Tuck, who was briefly in Saw 3, and I got annoyed, not because she appeared in 3, just because it reminded me that she's coming up. I'm no longer going to be able to escape that character. And the thing is, right, that character could have been interesting. You know, the whole like ex-wife saw a bit of it develop, but I mean, we can't get there yet because it's a twist in a later film. I don't remember which one it is yet.
Yeah, what does annoy me about her is that she takes fucking long to tell them, like, the smallest things. And as much as I understand that if you've been, you know, brought into the interrogation room time and time again and answering the same questions, you'd get annoyed. But it's just annoying that it takes them so long to, like, they have to literally, like, bang her against the wall to, like, get her to say, you know, the smallest thing. And it's like, I know that it's for film purposes, but that annoyed me that it's like, just fucking talk.
The thing that she didn't, the police didn't get the details that their son was going to be called Gideon, and the fact that there's the place called Gideon Meatpacking, they didn't put those two together already, is a bit like, come on.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me every time, and it's because we're actors now, and we did the workshop with Patrick Tucker about screen acting. In the very first scene that we meet Jill Tuck's character, she breaks one of the standard rules of screen acting, which is, here's a handy tip for all you budding screen actors out there, right? If you've got a scene where you want to look down and not look at the person in the eye, just look up, because you'll be able to see your eyes in the camera and it'll look better. If you look down, we're missing all the acting you're doing. Look up or look away. Camera left, camera right, or camera up. Don't look down because it doesn't look good. And for the majority of the first shot we get, she doesn't look up until like the last line that she delivers, and it's like,
right. And
I don't care.
It's all in the eyes because the camera sees every little movement of your face, and so you're not supposed to like overact like you would do maybe in theatre because people are far away. And so actually quite a lot of your acting will be in your eyes. And so the way that we've met her, it's like, well, I don't care about you because I can't see you acting. I have no idea what's going on in your face.
The thing is as well that I wonder, obviously they got her in to be, she doesn't do really any acting in Saw 3. She's just there for that moment of Flash, his wife. And obviously it turns out she was engaged, I believe, to one of the producers. I definitely saw that in one interview when it might be in the Your Movie Sucks. He does a 2-part series on Saw, which we'll link in this episode. I think he was the one that first brought it to my eyes that she was in it. So we'll link that guy. Cool. He does really cool videos, actually. I really like that guy. But it's like she can't act. It's like we got her for the first movie because, she was a producer. It makes sense. It's a small cameo part. For ease, let's just get a producer's fiancé or whatever. That's fine. But to bring her back as a key player, oh no. It's like, it would also be like, I don't think we would have cared if they'd recast. Do you think that would have bothered us?
No, because they do that all the time. Like in TV series, like there's like one actor, and then suddenly in the next episode, it's a completely different woman, and you're fine with it because you kind of suspend your disbelief because it's TV, like whatever. And I think in film, you understand that these things happen too.
Yeah, they try to avoid it as much as possible, but sometimes, just like the first boyfriend of Khaleesi.
We talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah. It was Ed Skrein, I think, and it changed because the guy went on to do the new remake of the Jason Statham's movies, like Transporter stuff.
Oh, right.
And he was the bad guy in Deadpool. But
he's-
yeah, it was
yeah.
replaced. Or when they do obviously all those reboots, like I'm pretty sure that when Tobey Maguire is 84 and they'll say, I was Spider-Man. And he's yeah, but actually, no, you were. It was Tom Holland. No, I was.
I was Spider-Man. I promise.
Right,
And Andrew
it's
Garfield, like, I wasn't Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was. I think that was miscast.
Yeah. It's not his fault.
No, not of course. It's hardly ever the actor's fault. Can I just put that out there?
And let's be fair, no male actor ever is going to say, I'm not going to play Spider-Man. They're going to play Spider-Man.
Well, I think it's quite tough for an actor to be like, "Oh, this is an amazing opportunity," but I don't think I'm right for that. Like, no, fuck
That's
off.
really
Like,
difficult to do that.
It's not. It's also not the way that the industry is made, because, and I think quite a lot of people don't know this, because if I'm at a party, someone will always ask me, "What kind of stuff do you do?" Mate, I do everything, because at the moment I just take anything that's given to me or is even put online, because that's the only way that you're going to make up a show reel, the only way that you can invite agents to stuff, blah 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 blah. Like,
if you want our perspective on more issues like that, we talk at length in the Chicken Run episode, because I edited that one, and I remember we talk about the whole debacle. We talked about this, specifically the guy that Yann just brought up, because he was going to do Hellboy and was he stepped down because it was he saw it as culturally inappropriate for him to play an Asian character, and we talk about the Scarlett Johansson situation with Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. So that's all in the Chicken Run episode, which is 49 or 51. No,
49.
40, episode 49.
Yeah.
So if you want more of our opinion on that, it's in that episode there.
Thank God you edited this one and you remembered, because I was about to bring that up again.
Don't worry, Yann. I remember that. I remember that conversation.
Cool.
Do you guys believe the relationship between Jill and John?
no,
Because I don't. I don't see the chemistry.
No, I don't, and I hope I'm not saying this because I'm a massive fan of Tobin Bell, and actually it's the one good thing about a flashback is that you can see Tobin Bell as like a nice guy,
Yeah.
and actually it's a really nice additive to his character.
Addition.
Thank you. Addition. So that's really nice, but I don't believe her at all.
No, I don't either.
And so it's kind of like I never see the love that they have for each other except through him.
I mean, when she comes in and she's like, "What are all these drawings?" I'm just like, she does the same tactic over and over and over again.
Yeah, what tactic was that, love?
That tactic was sort of like
Say your line.
stereotypical berate. Just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Who are you? This sort of thing. I probably did better delivery there than he did. And I'm trying to do stereotypical berate.
Well, I think as well, she could have done a lot with the line, "I lost him too."
Oh, that is so poorly delivered. You're so right.
And it's such a good line because he's actually acting like she didn't lose a son too.
Yeah.
And she probably had to go through a worse situation because she had to actually feel the pain of losing a child, of having a miscarriage. Like, that's not going to be pleasant physically as well in your body from going to heavily pregnant.
7 months.
Yeah, exactly.
7
like
months, yeah.
That's 2 months until you're having a baby. Like, that is going to be hell on your body. And he gives her no love at all. And that line is done so badly. And I think even Adam at this point turned to me and said, you can just tell that every single take they did, she did it exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Like, and the way that the amazing thing about with rehearsals in theatre, but in film, the great thing is that you can usually there's like 10 takes because the sound and the thing and the thing, the lighting and all the stuff, and so you can do it different ways depending on the other actor, right? So, but there are just some actors that either because they have no experience or they're scared, nervous, or they can't act, and they're sleeping with the producer, or slept with the producer, whatever. It's like, it just really, really, really ruins the scene. And it's so sad because it's the first time that you see I was about to call him Jason Bourne.
Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne. I haven't seen that movie yet, but I just know that one. Like, oh my God, it's Jason Bourne.
It's because it's on every single like Vine
It's
meme
so good.
thing.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, it's just it's like first time, and she just ruins it, and it's so sad because it's like, why did the directors think that, or even the casting directors think, oh yeah, this is such an important part of the film, but we're gonna have the wife a really bad actor? Like, are you serious? Like, you've lost so much on your film.
The shameful thing is if that had been cast right, I reckon that going forward, because I know going forward that she does become more involved, I reckon that she would have been they would have swapped Hoffman round. Like, she would be the one, like, major focus, that she is going to be Hoffman. That
would have been really interesting.
That's a really interesting idea, that the partner of the killer then became the killer.
Can you imagine? I lost him too. Oh, actually, I love what you're doing. Let me get in on that.
Yeah.
You know the friend David Lawrence the 13th, Patrick Tucker's friend, who was cast. He used Patrick's techniques, and he was cast in Heroes.
Oh yeah.
He was supposed to be one scene, and it was so good that the writers went, "Oh, just don't go just yet. We'll get back to you." And he was given an actual role to Meteor's thing that went on multiple episodes. Just like there is an actress in Game of Thrones, I think the ginger one, who was supposed to be a whore just in one episode, and she did so well that she got back a few times. Was one of the Tyrion's female friends.
yeah. That's true.
They do that a lot. Like, if they like you, or actually if the public like you, if people write in and say, "Oh, we loved you," they bring you back. Like, and sometimes as like a recurring figure, or even like every episode, like the whole series.
Yeah, you were just a line in the script, and
then you're a feature part.
Exactly.
It is a shame, because all the stuff that she mainly features in the C plot, no, B and C, so you can't even escape her in the C plot. You can't even escape her in the C plot. Shout out to that horn, whatever it was. I really don't. I'm curious. She's not a well-written character in this one. She's just there to give the detectives the back stuff of what's going on, and a device so that we can see the flashbacks with John. Which, if that's why she's here, I appreciate, so I can get to see more of Tobin Bell. But it is sad that we don't believe her, and I don't think she gets any better going on. I don't think.
She probably gets worse.
Maybe she'll grow on us. I do know that in Saw 6, there's a scene between her and another actress, which is just like one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a film.
Oh, God.
So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to Anouk for seeing something that isn't even in most of the trivia for this film.
Oh, yes.
You want to talk about it, Anouk? The brief thing you spotted?
Actually, before the Cecil comes back and kills Gideon in the health clinic, John Kramer is sitting outside in his car waiting for her, because he's a loving husband at this point. How sweet. I love him. And I'm guessing she's a prostitute. Is that what she's doing?
Yeah, she asked him, are you looking for I don't know if she says, are you looking for...
Are you looking for business?
It's like Christie's line at the very start of the Troika. Are you looking for business?
Are you looking for business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what she says. And it is the girl from Saw 2.
It's
3.
Is it
2?
It was like an A, wasn't it? Her name was
Annette
or something like that. The hand trap lady, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, horrible.
Yeah. So I think we're coming to a close. I think, is there anything else that anyone wants to discuss before we wrap up on Saw 4 and ask all the questions?
Nope.
I'm trying to think as well, just if there was anything we've majorly missed. No, I don't think so. I think. We can briefly talk about it to start up the rating. So, imagine being in that cinema. Have you never seen a Saw film, right? And then you get the Jeff bit. You just see a random cut. You see the same clip of Jeff from 3. You'd be like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It came out of nowhere, and it was like, oh, what?
Yeah, it doesn't sometimes is even though Spider-Man Homecoming didn't bring us the origin story, we knew enough.
Yes.
So that
yeah.
worked. But here, I mean, like, it doesn't work as a standalone.
No, absolutely not. So that answers that question before I even have to ask it. This film is the first one that you can't jump in in its own because you'd be confused about what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're really into, I don't know, prosthetics and the traps, like if you're just watching it for that, then fine. But as a film and a storyline, it's really unraveling.
All right, so that leads me into the question. Anouk, Yann, was Saw 4 good, bad, or just plain standard? Anouk?
It's on the good side of standard.
A good standard.
Yeah, but I really think it's getting to that point where can I just say that the excitement and the adrenaline that you get from watching something gory and like horror, I think I've spoken about this before, it makes people think that a film is good because it made you feel something. And actually, if you watch it for just like film purposes, it is so scattered and it has no like focus point somehow. So that's why I say it's standard.
Okay. So standard with the flair of is a better way of saying this one, right?
Scattered.
Right. Standard and a bit scattered. Scatteredly enjoyable, I guess, because you still think it's kind of good.
I did enjoy it. I mean, but it's getting less and less each film.
Right, so it is a standard for you, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Yann?
As it doesn't make any sense as a standalone, there's no need to talk about it in a standalone.
It's unrateable as a standalone film because you can't and you don't get it.
As a part of the franchise, I would say it's not just plain standard because that's a bit. No, I think that just plain standard movies now will just walk out. Actually, but I'll make the effort for rating purposes. But Anyway, I think it's standard. Yeah, so it's not good, not bad. It's in the standard. Well, there's not really a standard category, but it's like the easiest cop out of the just plain standard.
So it is just plain standard, but in the sense of, well, the just plain standard category exists for a film that doesn't exist for sort of stuff like this. A film that doesn't try anything new. Like that's why it's not bad. Bad films sometimes try and fail.
Yeah, but I mean, like Anouk is standard, which is not a category either. So it's good, bad, standard, and in standard you've got the extreme just plain standard. Is that how it works?
Yeah, like so mine is like is just on the verge of standard. So it's just standard.
Maybe we should create a picture frame for this as well, so you can see variables and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think standard needs to have. I think like good, bad, and just plain standard need to have variables, which is tough. But.
Well, I added some stuff in the infographic that we have.
Yeah, right. But it needs more.
But
yeah.
So it's in standard, but it's like higher up in its pyramid stands or whatever you would say.
Yeah.
It's touchy on the just plain standard. I was like, oh, hey, hello you.
Yeah.
With a confusing again.
So for me, I am going to do something that I haven't done before. I am going to redeem a film. In a previous episode that you've listened, because on the release schedule you'll heard this first, I put Hereditary in bad. And having watched this film, I'm like, putting Hereditary in bad is unfair, because Hereditary as a movie itself, as the design and the feel of a film, is actually good. So I'll reverse.
It did try and do something new, didn't it?
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to reverse that and say Hereditary is good, but with the flair, I did not enjoy it. So it wasn't for me, but I can appreciate it was well made as a film. Right.
Right.
Doesn't mean I like the film but everything that was in it, I'm like, yeah, much better. Watching something like this going, this is just a flaming mess in points. The B plot is beginning to become shambolic. And the A plot, none of the traps are exciting, but the jumping in between with some of them, it just didn't work for me in this one. I mean, the film lost me as soon as it did the mirror smashing with Brenda. As soon as that happened, I'm like, I'm out. I don't believe this is a real. I'm not in this anymore. I'm out. So unfortunately for me, this is. I agree with you too. This one is.
Oh, wait.
Is that for you?
I guess.
All right, I'll hold off. I didn't say something, so. Should I call it bad or standard? What do you think?
I think it's standard because
All right, what's for you? I'm verging between saying this is bad or standard. And I'm thinking about what I classify bad as. I classify a bad movie that is... No, you know what? This is just plain standard because I wouldn't watch it again. Like, if I was watching the Saw franchise, I'd be like, I could skip 4. I don't need to... There's nothing in here I really need. So, a bad movie I would watch again. I mean, Troll 2 and The Room are bad movies, but you would watch them again because you get some level of enjoyment out of them. And even when I had Hereditary in there, I'm like, I appreciate that as a movie, but it wasn't for me. Which is why I've changed it to good, but I didn't enjoy it because it merits itself of actually achieving being a coherent and enjoyable film as a piece of film. Not necessarily that I liked what the story did or whatever, or as a horror film. But for this one, this is a standard. This is easy. This is an easy standard because this like Jumanji, is pretty cop-outy, and the production and design is excellent, and all of that is there, but it's marred down by a really jumping all over the place story and characters that I don't care about. There's no real emphasis for us to begin to care about Strome or Perez. I mean, they're not even tested. If they were tested in this film, it would be a bit more, we'd have a bit more investment, but we don't. So for 4, I'm like, no, this is in the standard category. I agree with you too. So with that in mind,
Cool.
Are you excited for the next one?
no.
Not really.
No.
Absolutely not.
And the original question I used to ask was, would you watch the next one? I would probably be like, no, probably
I'm
not.
only watching it for you guys.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, this would be the point most people I agree would be going, you know what, this is not great.
Yeah, like,
I'm
why don't we just watch Psycho? It's so much better.
Or let's just watch Saw 1 again.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, there we go.
That noise that you heard, I just received the replacement hard disk drive for the one that burned.
All right, nice.
Yeah, trying to salvage all those podcast files, which are available everywhere else, but just in case,
Yeah, keep a hold of our original stuff.
Yeah, I lost data in my life. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing any more computers ever. Like, I lost my life.
Yeah. All right, so this was Saw 4. Luckily for us, there is a break for us before we watch Saw 5, which is quite thankful, actually, because we'll need it. Because from my memory, I enjoyed Saw 5 the least. And to be honest, in my memory, I enjoyed Saw 4 more, so I'm really dreading what 5 has in store for me here.
Yeah. Also, because the glass coffin is one scene I like, so I don't remember where it is. Maybe it was in this one. Anyway. Thank you again for listening.
Thank
you.
As
always, we were
Adam,
Anouk,
and Yann. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast. If you like what you heard, you can leave us a review via iTunes. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Good, Bad, Standard Podcast on both platforms. If you fancy seeing the live streams that we talk about on the podcast, they can be found on youtube.com. You search for Milk in a Wineglass. There are other bits and bobs on there too, just to see what Yann's up to during the week. And if you really like us, like really, really like us, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/goodbadstandardpodcast
and have a look if you want to support us. Any small donation is appreciated.